Tav Tzadi Dal and Amud Aleph will begin Tzadi Gimel Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Continuing on with the discussion that if a wall between two chatzeres fell down on Shabbos, Itmar Kais Lashim Ben Shtei Chatzeres. So you have a wall between two chatzeres shenofal, it fell down on Shabbos. Rav Amar Ein Metaltal and Boy El Bedal Ames. He says you can only be Metaltal Dalet Ames in the chatzer. Now, even though they made an Eruv, but Rav holds that now that the wall fell down, that the Eruv is no longer valid. You had a wall, it separated a Chotzer from a Chotzer, so they made their own individual Eruvin. They couldn't join together because the wall separated them. Now that the wall fell down, the Eruv is no longer valid, even though it was on the onset of Shabbos, it's no longer valid. So Rashi speaks out as follows. He says, even though we pass on like Rav Shimon, that Chatzeres are one Rishos, but Rav is Lishitosa, who holds that, however, if they made an Eruv, you cannot be metaltal mechatzer l'chatzer, because you can only be metaltal mechatzer l'chatzer kelim sheshavse b'chatzer. But kelim sheshavse b'bayis, kelim that were in the house on the onset of Shabbos, those kelim you cannot carry from Chotzer to Chotzer. A Bayis and Chotzer is not the same Rishos. Now, if there's an Eruv, there's a possibility and a probability that there will be Kalim that started off Shabbos in the house and now were brought to the Chotzer because there's an Eruv. So therefore, you cannot carry those Kalim from Chotzer to Chotzer. So now, when Rav says that Ein Metaltal and Ella Bedal and Amos, he means to say as follows. Since there's no Eruv, you can't be metaltal the kelim from the house to the chotzer. And you cannot be metaltal from chotzer to chotzer because they made an Eruv, and we don't allow, even according to Shimon, to be metaltal mechotzer l'chotzer in a case where the chotzer made their own Eruv. So now, each chotzer is open, since the wall fell down, it's nifetz to a malkama osula. You can't carry from chotzer to chotzer. It's wide open, there's no wall, so it's wide open, it's nifetz to malkama osula, so you can't even be metaltal, even in the chotzer, even kelim that were shafs in the chotzer that started off Shabbos in the chotzer, you can't. So therefore, you can only be metaltal with Dal Necham. So Shmuel says, Zem metaltal and Ika Mechitza, V'zem metaltal and Ika Mechitza. Shmuel says, no, each one can be metaltal till the base of where the Mechitza was. They could be metaltal to the base of it. Shmuel holds that you can even be metaltal Kalim from the house and bring it into the Chotzer. To be metaltal into the Chotzer, you could, in any event you could. Because Shmuel holds we pass like Rav Shimon even when they made an Eruv. So you could be metaltal from Chotzer to Chotzer, and you could be metaltal Kalim that were manay the Chotzer in the Chotzer. So what he means to say that you can be metaltal and Ika Mechitza means even Kalim sheshavse b'bayis that started off Shabbos in the house, you can be metaltal to the Chotzer, because Shmuel holds that the Eruv is intact. That if Shabbos, when Shabbos came in, the Eruv was intact, went to start of Shabbos, even though now the wall fell down. During Shabbos, the wall fell down. Nevertheless, the Eruv remains kosher. So therefore, you can be metaltal even from the house to the chotzer. V'had the Rav, that the Rav objected. The Rav says you can only metaltal b'dalet, la b'ferish itmar. We didn't learn b'ferish. Ela miklal itmar was learned from this following ma'isa. The Rav Shmuel havi yasvahu chotzer. They were sitting on a certain chotzer. Nafal guda the beni, the wall that separated the chotzer from the neighbor fell down. Amar Shmuel says shkula glima nagida would take a garment and run it across, and draw it and run it across in the place where the wall was. Rav turned his face away, he turned away to show his objection. Amr lo Shmuel, he kapid Abba, if Rava is makbid, shkola hamaynu kotaba, take a belt and fasten it there to show that if Rav was objecting to it, he said take a belt and fasten it there and make it more secure. Shmuel, why did he say to take the shawl and use it and cover it and draw it on the place where the wall was. Why is that necessary? Shmuel says that even with no wall, even with no separation, if there was a wall on the beginning of Shabbos, then even if there's no more wall, right now you can be metaltal to the base of the wall. So why was it necessary to put the garment there in place of the wall? More answer Shmuel, as far as the halach of carrying, it was not necessary. He only made it for tznius, just for privacy, as a practical matter. V'Rav isir le the asir le malay. Now Rav, it said that Rav turned away its face in objection, and on that Shmuel says, if Rav's makbid, take the belt. Why, if Rav is makbid, if he holds not that way, let him say it beferish, let him say it outright that he disagrees. So Morass answered the Shmuel, it was the region where Shmuel was the Morad Asra. He was the Paisik, so Rav didn't have the authority to override him. Shmuel was the authority in that place. So why did he want to show his objection? Shmuel was the authority, he was the Morad Asra. So why did Rav have to turn his head away to show his displeasure? More answer, he only did it to show that people shouldn't think he agrees with Shmuel. He wanted to show them that his opinion is not that way, but he didn't object beferish because Rav was the Morad Asra. Sagt the Mishnah, if you have a chalzer and had a wall separating it between the chalzer and the Rishus Harabim, and it was breached, it was broke open, it fell down. So then it's considered to be a Rishus Harabim. The Chotzer, we'll see in the Gemara what part of the Chotzer is it. Part of the Chotzer, all of the Chotzer, but part of it at least, if not all, is considered to be therefore Rishus Harabim. Since it's open to the Rishus Harabim, it's considered to be Rishus Harabim, and therefore if someone takes from this area to Rishus HaYochid, to a genuine Rishus HaYochid, or Rishus HaYochid, he's chayv achatas and Nisar D'Oraisa, because this area is considered the Rishus Harabim, and if he takes his Rishus HaYochid, he's chayv. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That's what Rabbi Eliezer says. But Chachamim, they argue and they say Rishus Harabim. Now the Tosfos Rid changes the gears over here, because he says Rabbi Eliezer is talking about Rishus HaYochid. So the Chachamim argue, and they therefore should be arguing on the same case. So therefore he says the gear says Rishus HaYochid. It's not a D'Oraisa, it's Potter, because this area of where the wall fell down is not a Rishus Harabim. It's B'nei She Carmelis, because it's a Carmelis. And therefore, if he takes it from this area, even though the wall fell down, if he took it from this area, then he's over here, and therefore he's Potter. It's not a Nisar D'Oraisa, because it's a Carmelis, so taking from a Carmelis. So we'll see in the Gemara what's the machlokes, whether we consider, which area do we consider according to Rabbi Eliezer Rishus Harabim, and according to the Chachamim, why do they argue, why do they not consider it to be Rishus Harabim? Zok the Gemara, Rabbi Eliezer, Mishum de Nifasel Rishus Harabim, Mabel Rishus Harabim. You mean to say, according to Rabbi Eliezer, just because it's open, the wall is breached, and it's open to Rishus Harabim, does that give it a din of Rishus Harabim? Does that make it a Rishus Harabim? So the way the Ritva and other Rishonim learn the question is, just because it's open to Rishus Harabim, and even if the Rabbim walk there, and now that there's no wall, the wall has been breached and people walk there, but if they walk there without permission, if it doesn't become the use of the Rabbim, it's not allocated to the Rabbim, it's not a Rishus Harabim. Meaning the understanding is that the wall fell down and the Rabbim walk over there, but walking over there is not enough. It has to be that it's understood that they have the right to walk over there. So this is private property. It's private property. How does this become Rishus Harabim? The Gemara says in Rabbi Eliezer the Talmud, the Sanya, we learn in the Brayser, he holds Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mishum Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbim Shabira Derech La'asman. if the Rabbim, they chose a derech for themselves. So they chose a path through somebody's field. And now they start using it as a path, as a road. Masha bir bir, what they've chosen is chosen. And now the owner can't block them from using it. He can't stop them, he can't fence it off, he can't block them from using it. So you see, once they use it, it becomes theirs, so it becomes Rishus HaRabim. Ini, is that so? Amar of Gidol Amarav, he says, it's only if they had a right to use it. They had a path in the field. Now the question is, where was that path? So it was not clear where the path was. They started using Bir Lehem, they chose a certain path, and they started walking there. But it's where they had the right to walk over there. It's not that they unilaterally went ahead and started using somebody's property. Maybe you'll see here also, we're talking where when they had a right to use that path, meaning. So the issue was, there was a wall, the wall fell down. Now the Rabbim had a right to walk through this field. They had a right to walk through this chotzer, rather. Now, the owner says that you didn't have a right to walk over here. You had a path somewhere else, and they say, no, we have a right to walk over here. This is where the wall was, it fell down. We have a right to walk over here, not over there. So maybe you'll say it's the same type of issue where it's not a dispute whether do they have a right to walk there or don't they have a right to walk there. The issue is, where is their path? And Rabbi Eliezer says there, if they unilaterally choose a path where they have a right to walk there, but they choose a particular path, then when they have the right to walk there, it becomes a Rishus HaRabim. So maybe you'll say, this is the case that we're talking about. I have more effective Gemara. How can you say that? The machlekes between the Chacham and Rabbi Eliezer is to have the right to walk until the makam of the mechitza, meaning which implies that whole area up to where the foundation of the wall was. That whole area up to the foundation, which implies the whole chotzer, not a particular path. Ema al makam mechitza machlekes. Rather, not until the foundation. It's on the place of the foundation, meaning the place where the foundation of the wall is, you can't recognize. It's not discernible, so we don't know where the foundation is. Now, there was a spot over there. The owner claims that this spot was where the wall was. So that's not where your path is. Your path is somewhere else. They claim, no, this is not where the wall was standing. This is where the path was. So really, it is the same type of idea that they have a right to walk through there. They have a path. The question is, where is the path? They're claiming that their path is on the spot through the area where the owner claims that that's where the foundation of the wall was and that your path was not there. What we're talking about over here is Tzidei Rishus HaRabim. In an area on the sides, the shoulders of the Rishus HaRabim. So when there's traffic, the Rabbim spill over and they use the sides of the Rishus HaRabim. The Rebbe Eliezer Savar, Tzidei Rishus HaRabim, Rishus HaRabim Dami. The sides have a din of Rishus HaRabim, even though it's owned privately. Still, since it abuts the Rishus HaRabim and the Rabbim use it, it becomes a use of the Rabbim, therefore it has a din of Rishus HaRabim. And Rabbanan Savrin Tzidei Rishus HaRabim, Lav Rishus HaRabim Dami, and the Rabbanan hold it doesn't have a din of Rishus HaRabim. So we're talking over here where the wall was next to the street, next to the Rishus HaRabim. Now that the wall fell down, that even though it's privately owned, that area is privately owned, but it becomes Tzidei Rishus HaRabim, an area. Rebbe Eliezer holds that the area which abuts, which adjoins the Rishus HaRabim and is now used by the Rabbim, it becomes part of the use of the Rabbim, it has a din of Rishus HaRabim, meaning it's not just an independent path. It's on the sides adjacent to the Rishus HaRabim, and it's now used by the Rabbim. Rabbi Eliezer holds it has it in Rishus HaRabim, but the Rabbanan say it doesn't. More of a lift like Tzidei Rishus HaRabim. Why not say the machlekes generally by Tzidei Rishus HaRabim? Why do we have the machlekes in this more elaborate case, and specific case where the wall fell down? Gemara says, if we only argued in a general case, I would have thought that they only argue over there and say it's not Rishus Rabbim. Why is that? Because over there's obstructions. Meaning when a person has on the wall near the Rishus Rabbim, so he normally does not put his wall right next to the street, because the people walk by there, they have their loads, they have their wagons, and it'll damage the wall. He normally has a buffer, has an area, a strip, that is between the wall and the street. And over there, and he puts on the wall, he puts different types of bollards and protrusions to keep the people away from rubbing against the wall and damaging the wall. Now, I might have thought in that case the Chacham say that's not Rishus Rabbim, that Tzir Rishus Rabbim is not Rishus Rabbim, because they can't walk easily over there because of the chifufe, because of these protrusions, because of these bollards that keep the people away. It's not Nichat Hashmishti. It's they have these obstructions which make it to traffic not easy to flow over there. But in this case, where there's no obstructions, the wall fell down. You're just talking about walking over an area of land. So there's no obstructions over here. I might have thought that they would say in this case it does have a din of Rishus Rabbim. Kamash Malan. That's why we teach us this case, to say even in such a case they hold it's not Rishus Rabbim. Rabbi says that you cannot carry, if one carries from Toicha, means from the interior, it's mashma, not just from where the wall was, from the whole area of the Chatzer. If he carries from there to the Rishus Yochid Yischayev. So it's mashma from the whole area, not just that strip of land. More answers, since the Rabbanan said mitaycha, he also said mitaycha. Rabbanan Amr Belazar Tzir Rishus Rabbim and Mahadalei in mitaycha. Well, he goofa that begs the question: why did the Rabbanan say mitaycha? If Rabbi Elazar is talking about that strip of land, and if they're arguing on him, why do they use it lashon mitaycha? You're saying that Rabbi Elazar said mitaycha because they did. Well, why did they? More answers, Hachi Karmel Rabbanan Elazar. This is what they're telling him. Just like you agree with us, that if he took it from the interior of the Chatzar, if he carried it from there, then to the Rishus Rabbim, or Mirshus Rabbim from the Rishus Rabbim to it, you're mighty to me the potter that you be pot mishay neshi karmelis, because the Chatzar will be considered a karmelis. You're not chaim the rice. See, the nami loishna, the sides of it are no different than the interior, just like you're mighty that the interior does not have a din of a Rishus Rabbim and has a din of a karmelis. Where the place where the wall stood has the same din. Rabbi Elazar, awesome, look at Darslei Rabbim. No, they're fundamentally different. Even though it's privately owned, and they're both privately owned, over there, the interior, from the interior of the Chatzar, there's no traffic. There's only Darslei Rabbim. But Hacha Kadarslei Rabbim. But on this strip, where the wall was, that's where there's traffic. That's where the overflow of the traffic of the Rishus Rabbim is, and therefore Rabbi Elazar holds it as a din of Rishus Rabbim.